Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to be taking a look at Gen Z, pioneering the future fan base, and to do that, I'm joined by Julien Segui, who is head of content, EuroLeague basketball. Gautier Rina. How do I do?
There you go.
Okay. Only have to do it once, thankfully. Colin Macaulay, he is head. Oh, I can see where he was from. He's head of third-party marketing at FIBA Media. Colin Macaulay is head of international sports partnerships for Snapchat, and Sanjit Sarkar next to me here is responsible for sport media partnerships at TikTok. A slightly different view on things, I suspect, over the next 45 minutes or so. I'm going to start off with the traditional what do you do all day question. An opportunity to say about your role and your company as well. And Julien, I'll start with you.
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Julien. Joined the EuroLeague basketball a couple months ago. EuroLeague basketball is a private entity that is operating 3 leagues: the EuroLeague, the Euro Cup, and the under-18 tournament, which is the next generation fall players. So my responsibility is really to oversee all the content for the league, and that includes the editorial, the social media, and the production that we deliver on the
Hi, maybe going to take a different approach to this because we have the beautiful challenge of speaking after lunch on the second day. So maybe I'm going to try and engage you a little bit more. So by show of hands, let me try and see who has heard of Daniel Ricciardo? Okay, and who did not hear them before Drive to Survive? Okay, cool. If I say Michael Jordan? All right. Sue Bird? All right, and Peyton Clark? Alright, I'm telling you. All right. And then maybe I'll throw a bone to you, Kamilame. Alright, cool. My name is Gogo. I work for FIBA Media. FIBA Media is a joint venture with The Zone. Our job is selling the TV rights for FIBA, doing all the broadcast operations, cold and live content, and then digital marketing, showcasing our broadcasters. And in my little world, third-party marketing is a complex word for athlete marketing, celebrities, influencers, so everything that isn't owned and owned by FIBA into the platform, so I'm trying to create audiences.
Excellent. I want to start with a quiz too. Who's got Snapchat on their phones? Hey, well, that's a great idea, great. I'm Colin. I look after sports and media partnerships with Snapchat, and essentially what that means is working with partners from, your broadcasters, like somebody in the room, which had a common word I was discovering on earlier, to teams, leagues, and athletes to help them find success and unlock our audiences and build meaningful relationships with them.
Thank you very much. And Sanjit, finish with you.
Thanks. Hey guys, I'm Sanjit. Honestly, my role is almost identical to what Colin just mentioned. The slight difference is that we also work to plan what our sports content ecosystem looks like and how we can develop that with the partners, teams, leagues, etc. that Colin spoke about.
You didn't have a quiz, everybody else had a quiz. Who has TikTok on their phone? There we are. If we start by taking a look really at how various social platforms here and others can help engage, bring on new fans, particularly looking at the younger demographic here. Julien, I'll start with you. So how that
Sure. I mean, we are in the audience building business at the EuroLeague, and traditionally it was really about broadcasters. So the transformation here is really to focus on producing a lot and quality content for what we call our partners, and this is all these social media platforms. That's where our fans are. So it's for us to go where they are. And I would say the biggest challenge is not about overproducing our content, but really making sure it's there every day, almost every hour of the day, and about quality. And it's inspiring our fans through platforms where at times right now, we can talk about it a little later, maybe it's challenging because it can be a toxic environment as well. So our responsibility on the content side is to make sure we inspire and we deliver something that kids want to share. And I mean, when I say kids, it's including us also. We always talk about Gen Z, but I think we're in the same pool here where our attention span is so little and we consume content, many, many hours a day.
When you say new content, you mean content from the last day, week, or would you have to go back into the archives? For Gen Z, it's probably 6 months ago.
Well, for sports, for a basketball league, this sport is made for social media. It's, the highlights, when you watch highlights on the phone, if it's a good one, you want to share it. I would say that the new sort of era we're in is about real time as well. To be able to deliver real-time
So
content.
quick clip, the moment the action happens, you're there.
Not only quick clips, it's also identifying the performance. It's from 3 seconds to 8 minutes. I talk to our folks, our friends at YouTube or TikTok, they're looking to have more longer forms these days. So our team is responsible to delivering every day and also in multiple formats. So that's the biggest challenge.
No, I think there's also a part of it where you like to extend your content offering to beyond just what happens in the game. Because fans are sleeping on the games when the game's done. They want to see what athletes are doing at home or how training works out.
So everything from in the dressing room to, I guess, have a couple of weekends and have somebody else do it for them, but whatever they might be getting up to.
Exactly like this.
Okay. Okay, it's you.
So interestingly enough, before I joined FIBA, I had no idea what the World Cup was. So for those that don't follow basketball, you probably know the Olympics, you know the NBA, you'll know the EuroLeague if you're in Europe is the best competition in Europe. But maybe for like me, I was an expat kid, I had never heard of the World Cup until I applied for the job. And then there was like a bunch of surgeons who were experts at the competition I had no knowledge of. So what that meant was it was actually an opportunity to start spreading the word. We needed to raise awareness and eventually, transform that into consumption of OTT and linear TV. So that's where I came in. My job is to make sure we create as much earned media to make sure people know of it in a way, shape, or form. And one of the KPIs is we used to pay publishers to take our highlights 4 years ago to not having to put more money in anti-piracy because it's getting ripped because of the market interest. So it's an odd KPI, but for us it works because the market is speaking to us. Now, do we know how to reach out to everybody? We're trying to push as much as we can in different ways, shape, or forms. That sometimes takes me out of my comfort zone because I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial. And the reality is I might not be the first TikTok user, but I have to understand what works there or what's on Snap. So that's what we're going to say.
You had an interesting point about the fact that you didn't know that FIBA World Cup, despite being probably a basketball fan as a kid, right? Yeah. And so it highlights the power of fandom at early ages. In business we talk about quarterly and metrics driven around finances and commercial, etc. But actually, if you think about your fandom, it starts in early age. And if you don't have that exposure to the brands, the platforms, the content, the sports, then it's very unlikely you're going to follow it. And for me, I grew up as an expat kid too. I'm British, but never lived here until I was 18. Cricket, is something that was completely foreign to me, but it's like rooted in English culture, right? And so I have no real affinity with cricket apart from going for, to enjoy a day out, but not as a massive cricket fan. And so when you think about platforms, you have different opportunities to engage with and build that affinity over the long term. And that's one of the reasons why Deutsche Telekom is working with us for the upcoming Euros in Germany.
Because they got rights, haven't they, for in the German market?
Exactly, through the Magenta TV streaming platform. And so they're reaching a new and unique audience they can't reach elsewhere. And Snapchat, just as a number, I don't know we should have no stats, but Snapchat reaches over 90% of 30 to 24-year-olds in over 25 markets. And when that number goes up to 35, so 13 to 35, we reach 75% of that audience. And so there's a real big opportunity, whether you're a brand, a publisher, or a sport, a team, league, or other, to sort of build affinity and understanding with how it is in the early age, and it lasts a lifetime. And I thought that extracted that quite quick buck versus the long-term investment.
Yes, it's right. I remember once turning up at the bar in Stockholm, and what turned out to be, I like the final of the Ice Hockey World Championships, in which Sweden would have got, I don't know, playoffs, work out how ice hockey goes, but the passion of basically everybody else in the bar, other than me. So this thing you're saying about not having the exposure, you know, if I don't know, for whatever reason, to being found my way into ice hockey rather than cricket, then maybe that would be a different experience, don't I?
And discovered that actually you were actually experiencing the essence of sport, right? Which is being in the moment with more than just the actual event. It's about everything around it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about what you're talking about, both of you guys are talking about too. It's not just about the actual game. It's about everything that goes around it. How we create touch points to build that affinity. Basketball, made for digital, made for social. It's like a cultural phenomenon that is beyond basketball. So.
Sandy, tell us a bit more about how TikTok sort of engages with the fans and brings your particular market segment in.
So I think we're in a fortunate position where a lot of the partners we work with actually create such brilliant content that, like Julian mentioned, they want to be present where the fans are, and that's what kind of needs the fans to some extent. What we noticed was exceptionally well are elements of content. Of course, the game itself is the main part. You want to make the TikTok highlights, whether that's a gamified piece of content or something that's TikTok in a very, very nice, fast-paced manner. But then what we've also seen works exceptionally well is the behind the scenes and elements of it. So what's going on in the dressing room, what's going on, what the players are eating for breakfast, and all of these elements which we've seen really pick up and show the more fun, authentic, relatable side. We've got a big summer of sport coming up, and I'm working with multiple different publishers on multiple different content.
So you're looking almost, it's sports personality of the year almost, isn't it? And it's like you're looking to, yes, you're featuring the people with the skills, the people who they've admired in the short clips, but then you're going beneath the surface, almost like it's a seal next to tip, as it were.
Exactly. I think personality-led content is much like on Snap as well. I presume is very much I say the number one engagement driving content. If you look at a list of the top 10 follow athlete accounts, not a lot of them are necessarily showing what they're doing on the pitch. A lot of them are showing what they're doing off the pitch, but it's so linked, and that's how you kind of build new fans and engage with new fans, not necessarily fans of the sport. They see a personality, they like the personality, that's what acts as a gateway funneling them into the sport, and then driving traffic to Euroleague channels and FIFA channels, for example.
I'm interested in your role, like the fact that it's, I don't know how many organizations think like that around having dedicated, creative, focus and third-party marketing as a tool, because that's exactly what you're doing, right? It's trying to create the game around the game, those moments.
That was a push, honestly. I had a lot of senior stakeholders that come from a different generation, and we had to take our time in our organization and educate on, how do we appeal to a 16-year-old who knows EuroLeague, knows NBA, but doesn't know that there's a World Cup happening where these players are playing. So we took a long way, and like for me, for example, when I bring on production teams, I hire YouTubers or content creators that do that for a living. And when we develop our athlete marketing program, I ask them, okay, if you were that person, what would you do? And they tell me, okay, well, I analyze the 100 last posts of Giannis. Here are the 3 keywords that come out of it: family, brotherhood, and Nike. I'm like, okay, can we build on that? I'm like, well, I would do this, that. So then we kind of use data in a way to kind of rationalize it, because the stakeholders will respond to the data more so than the actual creative, which is a very debatable aspect of our jobs. And we try to keep fresh.
The creative down the younger end of who you have working out with you, and then the older and the grey you get in comes the data with the KPIs.
Yeah. And if you come from the broadcast world, you like blue chip, clean content. Whereas if you're in the digital world, dirty content, UGC, is super powerful. So the question is, where's the limit between what you're allowed to film on court if you're in a partnership versus what you should allow fans to just capture? And what is the news cycle?
Well, that's the thing, because you can't sort of, there's something in the crowd with an iPhone or other devices around. You have zero control over that. There may be a notice somewhere saying, do not film, but people are still going to do that, we know that.
Yeah, and this is where the algorithm of the platform are very important to me is, if Instagram shows it to me 3 days later, it's too late because that file is probably gone. But if the algorithm on the scrolling feed shows me what happened 30 minutes ago, then I have a marketing asset.
And what content works best on which platforms? For example, I can imagine there would be some sort of subtle difference between what works on Snapchat and what works on TikTok. If I go with Julien first, and then I'll come to the other guys.
So that is an interesting question, and there's not really a formula, and the ones who say they have a formula, they're lying. I was telling you previously, Julian, it's all about moments. Maybe we shouldn't be head of content, right? It should be chief moment officer or something, or create new jobs, but we're all in the moment, and we're realizing that sometimes as producers, we do produce amazing content, and it doesn't do well. And we say it's overproduced. It has to be totally, I don't want to use it, I'm going to use it, authentic, right? We're using it every day, but it has to be these moments. And I think that type of content works across all platforms. After there's some specificities on the formats and at what time of the day and how you're creating what we call really hyper local content. But what works today is you want to see stuff that is actually going back to the inspiration that inspires you. Usually what works, whether it's on YouTube, and the reason the content creators are doing well is because usually the audience is a two-factor, right? It's either they can relate to that person or they want to be that person. These are the two key elements. And it's harder for leagues to do that. When you're a brand, it requires a little bit more of a deep thinking in building the identity.
I'm wondering if in the normal news cycle, if you have, for example, in the UK, we had an inquiry into actions taken by the Post Office, and the former chief executive was at the public inquiry, but on the day that the general election got announced, so she was pushed down the news order. Are there times when, from your side, you have a great clip, but somebody else from another sports organisation comes along, and that would be the consequence, they have a better clip, you get pushed down, or vice versa?
I'll let my friends answer that, but I do think you want to be the first.
Of course.
Okay, and that's...
So sometimes the event might, because you're all being so quick, the event might be taking place later on in the day.
Sure, but going back to basketball, we had the Final Four weekend in Berlin, which is the pinnacle of European basketball. And I always like to say it's probably the most underrated sporting event right now in the world. So that's our job to elevate it. But it's the whole real time being on the scene at that moment. And if you're lucky enough to have celebrities or players capturing the same moment as us, this is where it's reaching an insane amount of audience.
Let's get on to return to the thing about sort of the differences in types of content as to what works. I don't know if you two can work out what works on the other platform or the other way around. Yeah, you guys.
Ronaldo, Messi.
On the serious note,
In terms of side of clips, I'm going to
side of it is you've kind of answered that question already, Julian, in terms of like the formats. It's all like understanding the platform and looking at the data. You said that you made amazing point. I'm looking at 3 words that come up. You're responding to that. You're responding to the signals, and each platform is different. I think what we see as well is that when we talk about content, sort of the concept of sort of food fandom. Right, so less tied to a specific team, and a hardcore will follow on that team through thick and thin, and more interested in Luka Doncic or a particular player. And and I think that is a sort of shift that maybe is difficult for people who are really tied to teams to understand. The loyalty is less so with the team and more so with
players becoming.
Yeah.
There was a thing in TV a few years ago when you started to see personalities you might have once associated with the BBC. They would pop up on all sorts of channels. And so the same in the way in the sporting world.
Also, like if you're a Lando Norris fan and he moves from McLaren, you might still be a Lando Norris fan, right? And actually, is McLaren the team or is it the driver? And this is an interesting divide how James looks at it. I mean,
But it's something like football, perhaps a little bit different to F1.
Maybe, well, depends on your view and your age, but I think, if you look at the effect of Messi signing for Miami, or the effect of Ronaldo going to Saudi to Al Nassr, those are big moments, those are shifts in sort of following those players. Haaland, kids don't really care whether it's Man City or Manchester United, as long as he's winning, he's scoring goals. I think they'll follow that. And I don't want to say as they get older, we'll see that evolve, but I think there is this concept of being able to be a fan of athletes as opposed to hardcore associated with the team.
It's also more about the way content is delivered and the discourse around how that's managed. I think a great example of that could be CBS with their Champions League show. Is it the Champions League? Yeah, Champions League show and all the pundits. They almost generate as much engagement with the game. So please don't put me on numbers. But what I've noticed is a lot of people who aren't necessarily fans of the games playing at all are just tuning into that show because the insight is delivered in such an exciting and different way to what we're used to seeing. Is where the engagement is coming from.
So that's almost a great plug-in for what we did at the Final Four, and that was the playbook.
Yeah.
To create a live pre-game show on YouTube, but we were not going to measure success on live concurrent views because live on these platforms is very difficult.
Yeah.
People are not ready. However, we were producing a show, a full-hour show, in staging moments. So we understood that during that pre-game show, post-game show, if these moments were good, it was going to be able to be shared across all the social media. So I think this is very interesting for you guys. It's a new way of producing also on linear TV. Is actually people might watch more your moments on your shows through social media than actually on your broadcast. So we'll see the results in the coming days if that worked out.
I'm sure it did. You described it was pretty fine.
And Colin, you're working, I think you did Snapchat did something with the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, well, Super Bowl, the NFL is one of our biggest partners, and it's obviously a huge business in the US. We're talking about it obviously 96, it's 100 broadcasts are all NFL games in the US. So they're a pretty advanced partner. Snap is 13 years old, and they've been working with Superstar. So with them, we have content, and for those of you who are not on Snapchat, essentially, so the way you think about that, there's three pillars where you have communication, so we're a visual messaging app where people connect with their real friends and family. That's the first reason for using it. And we have camera, where we have AR lenses, so we used to have vomiting rainbows and uglies, and now you can transform a whole stadium in different colors, or you can swipe up the line, you try and move around with your jersey in AR, swipe up the line with the app, and then we have content. And so the NFL, think of us more as a marketing platform where they can achieve, different brand objectives through the different drumbeats of the season. And the Super Bowl is a combination of that. So for the Super Bowl, we'll have highlights in every market. And that's the interesting thing about the model in the US, where they have carved out all the digital rights for exploitation. They control themselves. You work with the NFL globally, as opposed to, for me, I look after EMEA. We're doing partnerships with broadcasters in 35 markets to get coverage of the Men's World Cup, the Women's World Cup. So they'll have AR experiences, they'll have e-commerce, they'll have Bitmoji, which is the world's most used avatar, with customized things. And so these are all different tools to the point of the panel, which is engaging Gen Z. And it's what they're doing, how they're consuming that's different. And it's just adapting a little shift in how you think about platforms like TikTok, like Snapchat, in terms of what role we play in the marketing funnel, the marketing loop, or however you want to describe it.
You touched on the e-commerce aspect of things there. Okay, how do we turn the data into dollars, as it were, or pounds, euros?
I guess we can see it two ways. Once you've sold the rights or the sponsorship, how do you deal with it in your content? It's a question of revenue versus performance and how much of the performance is organic. But the reality is, once rights have been sold, we have certain obligations and commitments to respect. So if I'm going to allow an athlete to have some sort of highlight on his channels, one, I need to respect that that is the best product ambassador I can get. So if I get anything done on Victor Wembanyama's channels, which is the equivalent of Michael Jordan for this generation, if we give him 10 more years, let's give him 10 years, then I have to find, okay, I'm going to give him footage, I'm going to probably embargo it, but where does my right holder find its value? So it's not evidence. I can make an argument for Nike because he's Nike athlete, so we'll put some product placement and show a shoe with the footage that he has. And if you look on his channel, his first content is content from one of our partnerships with Overtime, actually, where we saw him when he was U19, we scouted him, we're like, okay, we need footage on this guy. Let's find a way of having a partner, create content, and maybe fit in some sort of placement. But what we do for athlete marketing is, in our competitions, a World Cup, happens every 4 years, we have 384 athletes. For each of these athletes, we'll produce bespoke video content. Regardless of how much they perform, we have this whole production chain. And at the end of it is a call to action to the broadcaster of their home nation and our OTT platform. It's the only trade-off I can get to find an allowance of, I can give you all that content, it's ready 2 hours after the game, we'll look at the data, they download the content in the morning at 9 a.m. after breakfast, and in the bus after the game, and the content is there ready for them, it's branded, but they actually take it. And we're talking about athletes that are on $250 million contracts. They don't need this necessarily to improve their brand.
Well, I would assume sometimes it's the athlete and sometimes the athlete's people who does this.
Yes and no, but when they get our distribution platform, I see who signs up.
Yes,
So, no, the reality, we do have some relationships with the top athletes and their managements, we give them heads up. But yeah, there's always a little bit of give and take. In the best of world, not every content performs. Or you have to find a way of fitting it into editorial or into something so subtle you'll never really notice it. Like we did this partnership with Luka Doncic. So Slovenia has one player, he's top 5 top NBA players. It's a nation of 2 million people, and he's one of the best in the world. We did a docu-series deal with his studio, 77X, where they produced and they brought a 7-man crew to the World Cup and created video episodes. The guests that we could have, he would show his teammates and his national team, they were all Nike athletes. That was sort of the trade-aways. We need to find a biggest match.
Sure, some more examples if you can.
I think also what is interesting in the evolvement, the ecosystem of sports is the place of athletes. Today's athletes are entrepreneurs. And there is a clash, with teams at times because athletes do not wait to retire to start being entrepreneurs. So, the common regular 7-day-a-week schedule is different now for today's athlete, and it pisses off sometimes coaches when they see their athlete doing some really cool YouTube videos or on TikTok or on Snapchat. So I think that's very important, and for us, where it's all benefit to us to have all these athletes becoming a voice, becoming entrepreneurs, becoming content creators, and they are inspiring such a large pool of youngsters. So, there's always a shift through decades. You used to be a Hollywood star, the models. Today, it's the athletes that are really covering up all the attention, and rightly so.
It's an interesting way that's shifted. The other generational shift is that not that long ago, the athletes would have been fined after having been found at the nightclub. And
that's still happening.
But so it is. Now the fine is also filming stuff that appears on TikTok, Snapchat, and other places. You guys have some more examples of some of the sort of monetization aspects and how the data will be going to be turned into profit.
I think it's different. So someone like Julian and Gautier and ourselves, we come from almost two ends of the spectrum. They, in many cases, are looking to make money, whereas we're also looking to make money, so it's
Makes it more interesting.
correct. But no, there are a lot of different ways. Of course, ultimately, a lot of advertising is sold on TikTok, and it's their content to the advertising will essentially be sold against. So that's what helps us make money, and moving forward, there are some products that are being worked on and also hopefully fill up your purposes as well. But outside of that side of things, you have, of course, individual content creators, athletes behaving like content creators. They need to build their personal brands, utilizing platforms such as ours to be commercially viable to their partners as well. So that's the way I see them being immensely successful off the pitch and from a financial perspective.
Well, that's in the thing, right? We have a revenue share program with all our broadcasters, publishers, creators, where we're splitting the revenue, we're made with them directly. So there's a reason, a financial incentive in the short term. But coming back to the point we talked about earlier, it's about like seeing the role of each platform in terms of that long-term effect and opportunity. So, if Sky Sports, for example, who pay significant money to invest in Premier League rights, or TNT Sports in Champions League rights here in the UK, or beIN Sports in the Middle East or in France, wherever broadcaster, you have made a big investment into sports rights, which are some of the most expensive rights in the world, because obviously that lifetime engagement and real-time engagement. They're only going to distribute that content onto a third-party platform if there's a compelling business reason to do so. And we become a marketing pillar for them to build up audience. It might not be an immediate day that you see something on Snapchat, you sign up, but it's about the affinity of Sky Sports to being the home of Premier League football, or the affinity of TNT Sports to being the home of Champions League.
And I guess you have to be careful not to inadvertently undermine their brand or their rights deal or whatever through what you're distributing.
Well, that's one of the reasons we do not, and when you say we're distributing, it's them distributing content.
Okay.
So that's the differentiation. It's their brand, they own it, and they're doing it for a real reason, with marketing reason. I think that's one of the reasons why Snapchat doesn't have a live product, is because we are able to build anticipation, engagement, and then the broadcasters on that moment when the live sport matters. And so we create hype around it, we create attention, we create culture, and broadcasters own those live moments. And that's a very nice.
So what's interesting, Champions League final ahead, what's going to happen in terms of sports traffic at that point? Is it going to temporarily go down while the match is on, or are we established that the Gen Z aren't going to be watching it anyway, so they're assuming other content?
They'll be watching in different ways, but we see, this idea that they're not watching or engaging in sports is a misnomer. I think they're just consuming it differently in different ways and for what they like. But if they're next to a big screen, I always think they're going to go for the best possible viewing experience. So if you watch on TV and watch on TV, you have to watch on your phone, I do when I'm doing it at home with my wife, watching Love Island or something, and I'm watching it on my phone, right? But the point is that in those moments, they're doing many things. So 83% of Snapchatters are using Snapchat whilst watching football, and they're communicating with their friends. So they're not just sitting there passively like I probably would. They are, doing this. They might have a Champions League night. There's 2 games on. They'll have the 2 games on. They'll be talking with their friends. I'm using Champions League football as an example. It's probably equally across all sports. Any more interested in.
Just want to piggyback on that. So I brought you into her yesterday, and she's pure Gen Z, so I had a pre-briefing before the session. And we were talking about Formula 1. So she tells me she was trying to survive. She got into the character of Daniel Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc. So she started watching Formula 1 last year. Her attention span was very short. Essentially, once she got on the product, because it was in her shopping year, she got bored. This year, she's not watching anymore. Because for the 1 or 2 races she was watching, there was no competition. For her, it was like, I'm done with the product. Now her only touch points are following things on social media relative to Charles Leclerc, his girlfriend, and his dog. Literally. That's the touch point, but she will not go back to the broadcast.
Will there be potentially, if there are catalysts which would take her back?
Oh, in the case of Formula 1, it's very complicated. I cannot speak for that.
Well, it's not that dodgy weight, is it?
Sure, but Drive to Survive had its great sort of effect, and if the audience goes like this, then they're back as to where they were before. So Liberty Media is going to have to figure out how to get there.
And that's the real life experience.
Yeah.
To answer your question, how do we retain that audience that discovers a new sport through social media? After as lead, it's our responsibility to create these events and this experience. So in a traditional time, we were a 8 months or 9 months organization. Now we are a 12 months organization, 24-hour day. So that's the reality, and that comes back to for leagues to operate like media publishers and not like these traditional sports entities which is, historically, sports fans are very traditional. Sports is very conservative, and now that the model is really coming from the U.S., all these sports leagues that are strong, is they understood from the get-go that it was entertainment. So me coming to Europe and seeing that is, I think, the time is great to turn these leagues into entertainment destinations, but now it's to convince the coaches, the GMs, the players, and the environment on a daily basis.
Let's look maybe at branded content. We're almost talking about some of the stars as the brand, but you referenced Nike a little while ago. How are they picking up on this? Is it happening through existing sponsorships or are new ones coming in specifically for the content itself?
I can take that start. I mean, we're at the beginning of the new cycle. If you really look, if you go around all the social media platforms, I would say 50% of it is advertising. We're all big fans of organic content, but we're competing with branded content, and that's almost a red flag for the league, although the money comes in from there, but you don't want to spam your audience with advertising because you will have people leave your account. So the way to do it is really to have a sort of seamless storytelling around brands as opposed to putting a logo and all that, because that's a big no-no. But we're in that transition period. So to answer your question, right now we do have all these marketing partners, and we just make sure that we work closely with them and it stays aligned with our brand identity. It does also with theirs. But they're very creative. Turkish Airlines, for instance, is doing fantastic spots that you only know it's branded because of the logo, but the storytelling, the investment in production is huge.
I think the TikTok audience is in particular quite apprehensive being sold to, being already sold to with logos and things like that. But we have seen a lot of very successful campaigns and very authentically campaigns, but you really do, to this point, need that implicit connection. So, for example, as I mentioned previously, the users are interested in seeing how athletes live or what they do outside of the pitch. So, I don't know, maybe a supermarket or a health food brand could print out a content series with them around their eating habits or their nutrition habits, because it's really a win-win situation.
So a learning experience also becomes a pointer, if you like, to how you can get that lifestyle.
100%. Also, we spoke about formats, and formats that work well and are repeated consistently tend to see an increase in engagement over time as well. So building out something like that with a brand would be a winner.
Any other examples of this?
Maybe what I'd say is, so there's like pre-sale obligations. Once the rights have been sold, you have to do all that stuff. But then sometimes you use your content as a way of selling for the next cycle. I'm going to push more like content that hopefully when they make another bid for the next right cycle, they see that there's a lot more to go around with it. And then in the world of sports, it's a little bit different because look, our events have a beginning and an end. In a World Cup, you're there for 2 weeks and a half, right? That's it. So I didn't make 20 million impressions in 2 weeks and a half. You have instant entertainment, you have halftime shows, you have the Jumbotron, you have the broadcast feed, you have all the side events. But we don't have an entertainment strategy yet. We're the media, we'll do the live broadcast, we'll do the content. The NBA invested a lot of money in having NBA entertainment so that it's a full thing. It's a whole different vision as to how do you push your product to the NBA Finals, how do you create 1,000 touch points for the NBA throughout the year, whether it's NBA junior camps, whatever it is.
And brands are there on smart TVs almost as long as Netflix.
Exactly.
Longer.
And then the portfolio of sponsorable assets is much bigger by virtue of you going off court. And that's it's a big vision thing. It requires, I think, a good investment strategy as well, and a big picture thinking that's multi-year. And that's something I hope sports organizations go more and more into. From a international federation perspective, it's a little bit of a complex discussion, but there are active cases that are quite useful.
Very mindset shift, isn't it, in the organization?
as an entertainer as opposed to a sports organization, you know, a rights holder versus, all right, I'm an entertainment brand, and NBA does it well, you guys do it well, you know, WWE probably does it really well, right?
Even in the boardroom.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just how you think about your organization, and that's definitely a shift we've seen coming later in Europe, but it's definitely there.
And the shift, because the entertainment part started in the US, and now we're going from, in the US, and it's going to come here probably soon, from entertainment to a purpose. You know, the new generation wants to see that we stand for something. So we're going beyond the entertainment element, and so that's also, you know, key for teams, whether it's football, basketball, other sports, to really adjust their communication.
Now, I don't know if you've been with us the past day and a half, it's compulsory to have an AI question on the panel, so maybe to finish with, I'll ask an AI question. Specifically, if there are any sort of digital or technological innovations that any of you are running which uses AI in any shape or form.
I'm sure everybody talks about WSC. I mean, without these guys, we wouldn't be able to deliver a highlight of 1 minute, 30 seconds after it just ended. They've been a partner of ours, and I heard in previous panels, it's all about speed and being the first one. So a company like that is helping us to produce multiple highlights throughout the evening, because we have some evenings. We're from October to May, just like the NBA. We have nights where we have 10 games a night, and we're able to produce around 15 packages, you know, in less than 30 minutes.
I guess it has to be fast, accurate, and in goodness knows how many formats, the important way of sending it to.
Formats is another story, but
Yeah,
that's all the
yeah.
AI for it. It's allowing us to deliver immediately. So they've been a great partner, and after the whole AI within an organization, it is already helping us to work faster. You know, I like to say that AI is not going to replace men. AI is going to replace the men that knows AI better than the other. You know, so it's for us internally, and it's tough because every day changes. We're on the same boat. We need to study AI every day, right? So that's one of the challenges and opportunities as well.
On Snapchat, we actually have a visual messaging communication platform first and foremost, so it's before you communicate with your friends. That's number one reason why people use Snapchat. While we are a record audience, you know, we're over 8 million people who use Snapchat every month. We also, about 18 months ago, launched My AI, which is almost where you see your friends in the chat, you can ask them any questions. It's pretty much the second most used chatbot, AI chatbot in the world, and it's just used by people to find Snapchatters to find out information about things you want to find out. You can also bring it into a group chat and then verify somebody, you know, lying about the fact that Doncic didn't display it or whatever. So it's fact checking, so you know when you're like, oh no, you're creating a whole other level of interaction, but we're also seeing huge amounts of information and talking about the data and the outputs of that, but then how we shift that to say, okay, what are our impacts on content? What are the things that people are following at this moment? What are the things that are trending? And ultimately, like any digital platform, we're responding to signals. So we're not sort of pushing stuff to people that is what we think. It's actually, you know, whether it's innovation or found from the start, to launching stories and formats and AI, it's responding to what users and people are actually doing. And that's a big difference about like trying to get your message or trying to respond to what people want and certain what they want at the right time. Talking about your timely distribution, that's it.
It definitely plays a massive role for us to deliver publishers content rather than use time, anything sort of efficient.
Okay.
Maybe I have two points to that question. We tried integrating AI to create hero assets of athletes. So we take a video we film on media day, and we run it through this server that would create and transform the athlete into a warrior and actually chuck an empire. So we gave the AI creative liberty. It was limited by the number of prompts and requests that it had received. So if 1,000 people had asked the AI to deliver a samurai, if we said make a hero, it would make it a samurai. So because it has, this type of learning experience, at this point it's still somewhat of a limited offer, and it has to sort of book servers for it to be produced. We tried it, we saw that athletes were downloading it, we're not publishing it. So what that tells us is, nice to have, but if it's not published, there's no value to it. On the other hand, if I think from an operations perspective, it will change the types of jobs there are, and there's a real quick answer to that is jobs like editors or traffic managers will have a different flow. And if you have a lot of those in your post-production facilities, at some point I will be able to write any brief, send it to any AI, and it will do exactly the same job. We have tools like WSC for highlights that already do that because it knows what plays which. But for more creative products, where we spend a lot of time and resources, there will be a little bit of a shift, and that might not take that long. We are going to get there. So my thing would be, okay, you know how to be a creative director, because the AI will be able to deliver 5 different renditions of a brief to do it, but you need the human filter still.
Get moved quickly, and more so.
Actually, no, it's not about promotion, it's about being the end user. You could be a 13-year-old kid and know how to use it. And that Gen Z probably knows how to speak to AI more than the 4 of us here, who can maybe write the brief, but not handle the AI.
We're in trouble. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.